Hello, I'm Phil Hearn, and today I'm discussing the topic of competition in the market research industry. And when you think about software in market research, perhaps one of the companies that jumps to mind straight away is MRDC Software. And I'm delighted to say that I'm joined online today by the founder of that company, Phil Hearn. So welcome, Phil.
Thanks very much.
So can I start by asking you, what is your attitude to competition in your particular business of providing software for market research? What's your attitude to competition?
Well, that's a good question, Phil, actually. I've always been very competitive, I suppose, and certainly in my younger days when I played a lot of sport, a lot of different sports, I was always very competitive. And I think that carried on. I set up in business when I was about 27, 28, and that carried on in business then as well. And I was always very competitive. I always looked at the competition, and I think I spent probably too much time, if I'm honest, looking at the competition in those days and not worrying about what we were doing as a company. And I think really I've moved on from that now, because I'm quite friendly with the competition these days. I think competition is good. And if anything, it encourages me to think, learn, and arguably get ideas for where I think MRD should be going. So, I think, yes, we're in a competitive marketplace where there's a lot of suppliers of software for market research, but I think it's helped us, and I think it's good. I don't feel animosity to any other software company out there either, really. I think many make a good contribution to what market research is all about.
Do you feel market research agencies feel the same about, competition? Do you think it's the same for them?
That's hard to say. I don't run a market research company, so I can't from first-hand experience say what that's like running an agency that's conducting market research. I think one thing that I do perceive is that market research agencies are often competing for the same business. Yes, of course, there are specialists in different fields or different types of research, but too often I think they're competing for the same business. And that makes it hard, I think, because what happens is the differentiator then between different market research agencies can often just be the price. And price, if that becomes the differentiator, that's not really good for the business, I don't think, and good for research agencies. Of course, other things do come into it. So I'm not just trying to pretend business is won on price. Certainly some agencies have a better reputation for reliability and so on, and for delivering and speed, if you like. And, I'm reminded of that project management triangle. It's got various names, I know, where there's sort of three things pulling against each other. There's price, speed, and scope or quality, scope of what you do or quality. There's the sort of three things that pull against each other. And there's that old business challenge, which two things are most important to you? And I suspect research buyers have that difficulty in deciding what's most important. But at the end of the day, a lot of buyers of research, want all those things.
I know one of your thoughts is that MR needs to fear the competition that doesn't exist. In light of that, where do you think MR can compete more? Is it quality, speed, or price?
Well, an easy answer to that, I think it's all three. It's something that you've got to improve all those things, because if you don't, something on the edge of market research will come along and take that business. And, to sort of briefly cover those three things, I think, quality. We've got a long history of providing good data, reliable data. Our standards are very high, and so we should be proud of that as an industry. And I don't think that's particularly questioned. We've got good research experience going back many years now, but perhaps when it comes to delivering that research, maybe we're a bit more so-so. And I know there's been a survey of research buyers that took place in America, I think last year, and many complained that the research wasn't delivered as well as it should be, and other services that were bought were delivered better. And I think if there's something we've got to improve on the quality side, it's very much being able to deliver our research better. And then coming on to speed, I think, online has certainly made us faster. The days of doing all our work through pen and paper interviews are long, or not long gone, but have gone to a great extent. I know in Asia Pacific where we work, that's still a high percentage of that, as much as half in some countries. But that's moving and will keep moving. And the online part, if you like, of collecting data has got faster, which is great. But the delivery, again, we're not delivering necessarily results as quickly. There's really almost no excuse now not to give people some figures from their survey pretty much as it's going on and as it's finished. And I think, that's something that we need to improve on. And price, well, I've already said that I think market research is squeezed. And if you look at the value, if you like, or the price of data now around the world, not just market research here, data is getting cheaper. It's just like any other supply and demand thing. There's more of it, so it gets cheaper. So I think, we have to offer something more as an industry so that we can sustain prices and be valued by buyers of research. And, I was drawn to a LinkedIn post that I saw this week from Simon Chadwick, where, he's talking about the industry's got to move on, not from just selling research to insights. It's actually got to go a step further and actually be selling foresights and, be much quicker at delivering what its product is. So I think it's important that we look to improve all those things.
Can technology and software change those things? And if so, how do you think?
Well, that's a good question, Phil. I think it has to. I think, if I start with the why, you can see in other places where change has meant a complete change to the way people do things and buy things. Amazon Books, for example, now so many books are bought through Amazon Books rather than bookshops. Uber taxis have done a similar thing to taxis, and market research won't be different. It might be different the way it looks, but the business will change and is changing. And it won't surprise me if the top 20 MR agencies are companies that you don't recognise at the moment in 10 years' time. Of course, it might be some of the companies that do exist now that have changed the way they work. But, I think there's a lot of scope for movement and change in the way that we do market research and how it's delivered. And, I think market research needs to embrace technology partners a lot more. Actually have partners. As a software company, we're very aware that people buy our software, but they don't necessarily buy our partnership. Some do, but I would say the majority don't. And I think, looking at software companies is not a sort of shout out for software companies to come on, give us more business and we'll look after you. But I think, embracing technology means you've got to see it more as a partnership, and then actually push those partners to deliver more for you so that you can deliver more as a research agency to your customers. So, I think there's a circle here, a cycle here that can be started. And I think, research agents should actually lean more on the technology companies and the software companies to do more.
But to press you, Phil, my question was what and how, not why.
Yes, sorry, that's absolutely true. So the what means that we have to improve quality, speed, and price. And I think we already deliver, I think, quite accurate data. We've got to keep that up. We mustn't jeopardise that in a rush to perhaps be faster or something else. I think we've got to be easier to, the data we produce has got to be easier to work with. So, for example, I know I'm a great believer in dashboards being a great way of delivering market research data. And I think we've got to be able to do that at a sensible price and do it quickly. And it's all about delivering our data conveniently so that people can make the most of it, basically. And, at the moment, quite a lot of research ends up in a PowerPoint report and then gets left on a shelf or on a computer file. And really, that's not making the most of that data. And speed, doing it faster. Yes, we're getting faster at collecting it. Online has certainly revolutionised how quickly market research can collect data. But we've also got to deliver insights or foresights quickly from that data, and make it very easily available. So it's important that we achieve that. And, you know, price, which is the third thing, you know, yes, MR is, I think, often squeezed, but I think we need to offer something that's more than what we do now, so that it's valued. And I think, you know, well, you know, I can talk about that more, but, you know, I think that's an area where we've got to look at. So to turn that into how, you know, the quality, I think things like dashboards are really important, because that's a way of presenting data more conveniently, more accessibly, and it can be done quickly. And you know, PowerPoint was great back in 1997, but, you know, that's not the way that data is delivered these days, or information is delivered, and other industries aren't delivering it that way anymore. Other industries, people expect to have data at their fingertips now, and I think we need to do that as well as an industry as well. And when it comes to speed, you know, delivering results much more quickly, even if it's only perhaps the basics information, it should be delivered quickly. There's no real reason not to. Yes, you've got to keep quality controls in place. You've got to make sure the data quality is good, but, you know, people want data quickly these days and expect it quickly because it's available quickly. You know, I'm a great football supporter, as you can tell from the T-shirt. You know, football results used to take some time to come through, and the league tables used to be another day before we got the league tables, or later that evening. Now they're instantly available. They're updated while the games are going on. Market research has got to be the same. It's got to be delivering data as it's ongoing, and, you know, continuous research that's providing that data as it comes in is really, I think, what people expect these days. So, you know, I think, you know, if we could deliver better, things like consultancy and foresights could follow on quickly behind that. And when it comes to price, yes, we've got to do it cheaper. We've got to do it cheaply, because if we don't, there's somebody who will come along and do it more cheaply, as we found with Amazon and Uber and others. And, you know, that business will seep away. And many will argue, of course, it already has started to seep away.
So you're just saying dashboards with more data accessible then, really?
No. It's the start. You know, next we want to make other data available at the click of the button. So it's, you know, let's take social media data, or social listening as it's called. That data takes some time to collect and plug in. That should be something that you can just access online and drop into reports or online dashboards alongside your survey data. Other business data such as sales, advertising spend, targets, KPIs, all of those should be able to be fed in alongside, and not just one survey, perhaps all the surveys that have been conducted over the past year or more, tracked. And, you know, that this is more than just a dashboard. This is actually what I call data management, which always sounds very unexciting, but it's so important, data management, that you can pull all those strands together easily, cheaply, and deliver them to the client, because then the product that market research produces is more valuable. And you know, if we can get instant feedback, so that, you know, for supermarkets launching a new product or something like that, or an airline is offering a new route or something like that, if we can deliver information that makes them make those decisions quickly, and maybe saves them a couple of £1 million or increases their sales by a couple of £1 million, that data then becomes much more valuable than perhaps a research survey that's put into PowerPoint that is perhaps not used long after its initial research. So I think we've got to look at doing more with data and not just our research data from one survey. And I think that's really something, you know, that we've got to really push.
And where's MRDC in this evolution then?
I think, you know, MRDC, I think, is moving in the right direction, but not far enough. I think we've got plenty more to do, but we are trying. And I think it's a matter of progress, and I'm very keen to push MRDC in the right direction. One of the things that we've spent quite a lot of time on, perhaps in the previous 10 years, is productivity, and that was a response, if you like, to the fact that the cost of humans or employing people around the world has got more expensive in many countries around the world. And so we've always focused our software, often focused our developments to our software to productivity, because that really saves people money. If they can do something in half the price in our software that they can in another product, that's real money in their business. But I think that's moved on now. I think the focus now is really on data, connectivity, and delivery. And I think that's the sort of areas that we're really looking to push now. And on a simple level, we've started that already. In perhaps, let's start with the conventional ways, if you like. In the conventional ways, we have Snap as a product that we offer people, and that's really good at doing automated quality reporting so that you can produce nice looking documents that automatically have figures fed into them. So that's the sort of traditional reporting sort of style that's been around for many years, but making that automated so you can produce multiple reports, a report for each country, a report for each outlet, whatever it might be. So that's sort of one level that we've been pushing the last couple of years. And again, on a sort of traditional level, before we go to the sort of the next level, we've developed a new software package, Resolve, which offers researchers and clients quick data access to doing quick charting. So if they want to do something quickly and explore their data and turn it into a chart that they can then email to a colleague or something like that, or just look at to use in a presentation internally, whatever it might be, we've developed that software so that's possible. Now, I don't think that's perhaps not quite such groundbreaking, but where we are moving and where we have moved over the last year is that we're connecting all our software into an online dashboard. So that whole throughput from data collection, that important word that people neglect, I think, data management, pulling different sources of data together, can be presented in an online dashboard. And the platform that we have for that is the CYS platform, which is extremely powerful. Yes, it can collect data, but so can a lot of other software. But when it comes to data management and what you can put into a dashboard and the infographics that you can deliver, it is really top of its league and really makes a difference. And I think that's where we're moving to, the ability to deliver data in dashboards in real time, if that makes sense, with fantastic infographics, and making it available and affordable on any market research project. So, market researchers use dashboards now for a few years, and they've been used on the biggest tracking studies where there's a good budget to prepare that dashboard. No longer with the CYS platform. The platform we're offering really does make it possible to put any survey in there inexpensively, like $99 a month or something, and you then can present your data and deliver your data in the way that clients want it, with other data, economically, and more importantly, making it more valuable to the people that are buying this research. So, I think this is important. I'm really looking for a cultural shift, if you like, where everyone in MR thinks about these sorts of changes. And I don't just mean the owners of businesses. I mean everybody, from the people who are responsible for making questionnaires, data processing departments, people in research analysis. Everybody thinks about how we can deliver better, because that, I think, is really key to improving market research.
But hasn't this market been taken up already by Tableau, Confirmit, and a whole number of other BI, business information systems, that are out there?
No, I don't think it has, and I think that's why I think the CYS platform makes a difference, in the sense that Tableau and Confirmit, for example, are excellent platforms, but they're very expensive. they're not necessarily quick to deliver what you want. They're not really suited to market research, particularly in some cases. Some of the products out there are quite good. Some of the business information systems particularly are quite good at delivering data in a dashboard and allowing quite nice infographics, but they're not market research friendly. So, market research data has this problem that we don't collect thousands of, even millions of records with a small number of single coded fields or integers or numerics. Market research data is fairly small numbers of records, but with quite complex data that's got routing in there, it's got multi-response questions, and a lot of them. So it's very different data, and you need different tools. And you need tools as well to do things like top two boxes and so on. So a lot of systems out there now that can deliver online dashboards, but they're not necessarily market research friendly, or they're expensive. And of course, at the other extreme, that some of them are too low scale. Yes, they can generate a dashboard quickly and inexpensively, but it's very limited what they can do, and there's no choice. And so, you're restricted on what you can deliver to your clients, because you've got to be in a position where if the client says, that's fantastic, give me that dashboard, but could I have that and that? You've got to be able to deliver that. And obviously, the low cost ones tend not to have enough tools in them to do that. So where I'm looking at is that every MR project can be delivered online in the way that the client finds most useful. If that's a dashboard, if that's a report, if that's an online store of information, if that's something they can do interactively online to browse the data, whatever it is they want to do, they can do it. And I think we need to get better than that. And some of these things have been done with the biggest tracking studies that are available already, but it is the big trackers. It's not, it's not every project.
I'm not sure I fully agree with you there. I mean, surely big trackers is a business that, the market research serves very well already.
Yes and no. I think, perhaps we do the big trackers well as an industry, but I think we sometimes overlook the small trackers, can I call them that, or the medium-sized trackers, the things where there's data flowing in that can be collected every day. We're very familiar already with, customer feedback, where, you buy a product online or you get a service online and you get a short question asking you about your satisfaction. That information is reported and fed back, in no time at all. All right, so it's only 1 or 2 or 3 questions often, those types of surveys, but they are surveys, and the data is available pretty much instantly, I suspect, to the people who are purchasing these surveys. Market research has got to look at that, and that's the expectation that buyers research will have. They won't see a difference between a customer experience feedback type questionnaire of 2 questions against a market research survey that might have 100 questions with some routing and multi-response questions. The perception will be that this needs to be delivered as well and as quickly. And I think we've got to move to that. And it's a challenge and it's a big target, but I think we've got to look at that. And there's no reason why we can take on smaller, regular tracking type studies where data's fed back very quickly and it's provided on a continuous basis. The technology is there to do that. The CYS platform that I just talked about does that brilliantly and inexpensively. And market research has got to look at that as a new business area.
So the big question is MR ready for this change?
I think, I've said this thing about fear the competitors that don't exist yet, or perhaps those that have been more recently come into existence. But I think the whole business of gathering data, presenting it conveniently, inexpensively for every project is a real challenge. And, I think it's something we've got to do. We've got used to TV now, where we can watch programs when we like, we can record them, we can do what we like now with what's available with television. In the 1990s, that technology was available, but it wasn't quite put together, so it became a delivered system. And I sort of see market research in the same sort of light, if you like, at the moment. The technology is now there, it's not quite a cohesive system that's delivering that service as it's wanted.
So will MR exist as it does now in 2030, do you think?
No, I don't think it will. I think it will need to change, will reinvent itself. The competitors we can't see or we can't see much of now will definitely move in, and I think there's going to be some real changes there.
And if you've got any advice for MR companies and agencies out there now, what do you think they should be doing to perhaps get in the right lane?
I can't talk about the research side. I'm not a researcher, but I do think they need to look harder at finding partners to work with, fine technology companies and software companies that they think offer something, and trying to build their business with them. Technology companies sometimes are very good at having ideas, but don't necessarily work in exactly the way the market wants. And I'm not talking about just market research here, but just what in the wider world. Sometimes that input from market research companies to say, well, if you did this to your software, this would mean that we could sell this, we could deliver this more inexpensively, quicker, whatever it might be. If you did this, we could pay you this to do it, and then you'd have a better product and we could sell more business. Now, those sorts of things mean investing time, looking at technology companies seriously, investing money without doubt. But I think it's something that needs to be done, and push technology companies and software companies like us. But above all, take some risks, because it's only if you get into this area and explore it further that you learn more about it, you find out what works and what doesn't work. Because if you don't, somebody else will, and that's why I say, fear the competition that doesn't exist.
Phil, thank you. It's been really interesting talking today. Thanks for your input, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Phil.
Why did you come on with that football shirt? I did tell you that it was a video, not just audio. Didn't you realise that? You really should have put on something decent rather than a shirt for a football team in Thailand.
Oh, I thought it was audio, and I didn't know we were actually running cameras. Sorry about that, Phil.
Oh well, that's that done. Thank goodness for that. Oh. Right. Oh. Must be time for lunch now.